Day 2 of the First Nations Housing Conference in Thunder Bay featured the popular Builders Challenge. TV and radio personality Jan Eeks was back to host the event, where people compete and show they know proper building techniques. Josh Morano has the story.
Inside the Valhalla, participants gathered around with tools in hand to listen to Jan Eeks, North America's longest-running TV radio home improvement guy, who shows them how to use different power tools. Those who joined were given the chance to show off what they learned for a chance at different prizes as judges went around evaluating their handiwork. Eeks has been hosting this event for 10 years and notes that getting over the hump for some people is to just put the tools in their hands and show them the basics.
In past years, we built big projects like working on a roof, putting in a window, and that kind of stuff. This year, we decided to just do the tools themselves, because very often, even professionals grow up working with the tools, but nobody ever gave them instruction on the tool itself.
One of the main points of emphasis from Tuesday's opening ceremonies was having members of First Nations able to build and or repair homes themselves as opposed to hiring or relying on outside help. Jonathan Gregg mentioned one of those ways is trying to bring trades training to them. Having this experience, he says, is one step forward as they continue to draw interest.
Hands-on tools is the best way of training, best way for skills development, and it's very competitive. It's challenging, and the guys like winning prizes for the good work that they're doing, and things that they can back to their community, and maybe encourage other youth to come and participate in our housing conference here.
The techniques that they did on the drills is something new. Like I've only ever just drilled a screw in and out, so yeah. So some of the techniques were good.
The Builders Challenge continued with jigsaw and reciprocating saw training. Following that, the First Nations housing community presented communities with awards of recognition for growing housing through building. Josh Morano, TBT News.
The Martin Falls Community Access Road has reached an important milestone. Technical consultants have determined construction is feasible, and the First Nation is almost ready to choose its preferred route. Stakeholders and the general public were invited to provide their input during 2 public information sessions held this week in Greenstone and Thunder Bay. Lee Noonan has more.
There are 2 overlapping route options under consideration for the Martin Falls Community Access Road, both running from Painter Lake Road north of Nakina and entering the First Nation from the west side. The public consultations in Greenstone and Thunder Bay are a last chance for community members and stakeholders to weigh in before Martin Falls decides on its preferred route.
We have shared some thoughts on what the impact could be, whether it be on our infrastructure with increased traffic or demand on potentially on housing or social services as well.
Easy access to groceries, gas, and their supplies like lumber, housing.
Once a preferred route for the roughly 200-kilometer-long gravel road is announced, another round of consultations will kick off and micro-adjustments will still be possible. Project consultant Qasim Sadiq explains that there had been concerns about the availability of aggregate material on some sections of the proposed road, including the north end, where a long detour along an aggregate-rich route is under consideration. But the technical analysis now shows both route options to be fully feasible.
The good news from my perspective is that the road is overall constructible, so that's very encouraging that this can be done from a technical perspective. And then we've got gradients of differences. There's no sort of this is absolutely fantastic and this is a complete no-go.
Sadiq says feedback they're receiving shows the technically preferred route generally lines up with preferences from Martin Falls and neighboring First Nations. One exception is the Albany River crossing, where the more difficult eastern crossing is preferred to avoid culturally and environmentally sensitive areas such as spawning grounds.
These are ongoing conversations right now. We've supported the collection of an Indigenous knowledge program. We've had a number of years to engage and consult with them.
Martin Falls plans to make a decision as to their preferred route as Indigenous knowledge reports are coming in over the next few weeks. That decision likely won't be made public until the spring. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
2 area First Nations are now better equipped to protect their communities from wildfires. Edmonton and Webequie are part of a pilot project which saw each First Nation receive a rapid bush attack unit. Celios Bellos reports.
Many remote First Nations face serious challenges when it comes to fighting forest fires around their communities, but a new pilot project will make those battles much more manageable. Edmonton and Webequie have both received a wildfire rapid attack bush truck as part of a pilot project supported by FireSmart Canada.
This one's faster and good. I like it.
Edmonton Fire Chief John Slipperjack says the new unit will allow them to tackle bushfires better than ever before.
There's always a problem with brush fires around our community every summer, and a big truck won't go. I do have a big truck, but can't go anywhere like this one will.
Matawa First Nations management secured the new trucks with support received from Indigenous Services Canada. The units will be delivered to the communities once the winter road season opens, with the First Nations hoping to train more members to help fight these fires. Emergency Management Coordinator Monica Butis-Selleck says this support is crucial, as forest fires are becoming a growing concern for their communities.
They're getting worse and worse every year, and these trucks fit right in with that type of training. And the fires are becoming bigger and hotter, and they're getting closer to our communities in I guess the central part of northern Ontario, which is where most of our communities are.
Matawa officials are hoping with the success of this pilot project, it will encourage further fire prevention supports in the future. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Substance use, addiction, and mental health were some of the topics discussed this week by officials with the Nokiwan Tribal Council. The inaugural Oshki Noch Moin conference brought together youth, elders, and people with lived experiences with a focus on finding ways to build healthier communities. Attendees at the three-day conference had the chance to share knowledge, listen to presenters, and work together to develop creative ways to tackle the various social issues regionally and locally. The gathering also had a youth-focused area, which allowed them to share their opinions and perspectives. Pick Mobert First Nation CEO Joe Moses says a highlight of the event was experiencing the empathy and shared stories between the attendees.
It's always good to gather with our neighboring fellows and First Nations. So just having that opportunity to reconnect with other members of leadership and the various community members to just share stories, share some experiences and some time together, but to understand that we're in this together. And so we're not alone. We do have those supports of our fellow community members, and it's that togetherness that will help us through all this.
Nokiwan will have a follow-up gathering later this spring where they'll take all the information and start making plans of action. And there was a big lottery windfall for a Nipigon man this past week. We'll have more when we return.